Beginning of 2021, which epic commanders are still useful in Rise of Kingdoms? Either you are in the early games of the Rise of Kingdoms, or you are a older player into the Rise of Kingdoms. You want to know which ones are still useful, still best, still performing good on the field battle, or in Sunset Canyon and various other events. Then you want to check the rest of this video, because I'm going to try to cover as much as there is regarding epic commanders in Rise of Kingdoms. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Rise of Kingdom video. My name is Legend Ronnie, and today we have a special day because epic commanders need some love every now and then. They are still very useful, the epic commanders. I still use them in Sunset Canyon on killing barbarians. On the field battles I do have a lot of epic commanders, so I still don't use them on the field battles, but some of them might surprise you that they are still useful even for field battles in 2021. The game is out for 3 years. And some of the epic commanders still have very good roles. I'm going to start with the first epic commanders that I use the most. If you're noticing on the right side, this is my blue setup. My blue setup is usually for killing barbarians. You have Diao Chan being used first, which is a peacekeeper, Boudica being used first, which is a peacekeeper, Lohar being used first, which is a peacekeeper, and Belisarius. So all these 4 commanders, I use them as peacekeeping whenever I kill barbarians. My suggestion and recommendation is that you also use them for killing barbarians, but when you are in the early stage in Rise of Kingdoms, like right at the beginning, even myself, I started using Boudica because I started as Briton and she was my highest level up commanders. For about a month, maybe 2 months on the starting of the game, I would say that you can definitely use Boudica or any other peacekeeping commanders for field battles, but after that I will strongly recommend that you switch to some other epic commanders with specific specialization or even legendary, if you have them available. This is the talent tree that I use on Boudica for killing barbarians. And if you're interested in more talent tree, make sure you check my Discord. You have there detailed if you want to go on a field battle or you want to use her for PvP in the early stages. You want to go with the full feral nature so you can generate as much rage as possible and you can pop as many skills as possible, because she has quite a powerful nuke for the early stages of Rise of Kingdoms once you obtain her expertise. This is the talent tree for Lohar, and you're probably noticing a big similarity compared to Boudica because they all have almost a full peacekeeping talent tree, and the current chant is 5 out of 5, same as Boudica's. I strongly recommend that you only use Lohar for barbarians, not for the field fight. Boudica is an exception because she is a little bit of universal commander. This is my Belisarius talent tree that I use for killing barbarians. To be honest, I don't care about his mobility. So his current chant is as well maxed 5 out of 5 plus the rest of the peacekeeping tree, except the mighty force and the 1 attack and 1 defense that they have. Those you don't really need them. Everything else, what I cared about is try to get some mobility, some rage restoration. Probably the mobility talents, if you really want, you can put them on Cavalry. I think that's also quite alright. But the whole point is that you want him to sustain as much as possible while killing barbarians. Now if you want to use him for field battles, which he is, especially at the beginning or the early stages, and he is one of the farm killers for free to play because he is so fast, then you want to check Discord to see more talent trees regarding Belisarius and various other epic commanders. Diao Chan is one commander that can also be used for field battles. I have even tested her and I have done videos testing her on the field with Guan Yu, with Ramses and some of the other names and commanders. She does perform very well, but since I have a lot of legendaries, they definitely outperform her, the legendaries. If you don't have the legendaries, then she is a good replacement that you can use as a second in command for field battle, for whichever march you like, because she is very universal. So either you want to put her with a Cav commander, Pelagos and Diao Chan, Bebers and Diao Chan, you want to put her with a infantry, Sansu and Diao Chan, or an archer, Herman or Kusunoki and Diao Chan, they work perfectly. And you have a little bit of healing and very nice damage factor, which is almost 1600 if you put it all together. Again, I use her for peacekeeping, so she has the same talent tree as low her with the max core enchant and rest on the support, because that's what I use her for, just killing barbarians. Diao-chan was a special event commander. I'm not sure if there's gonna be another way to obtain Diao-chan in Rise of Kingdoms in the future. It was the Intriguing Dancer bundle, and there was also an event where you could have obtained Diao-chan without buying the bundle. Hey, we will see if there's gonna be introduced another way how you can obtain her in the future. One commander that I'm really hyped to test and I'm looking forward to test is Keira. I'm going to max her soon, as you're noticing that I'm just missing a couple of sculptures, 20 sculptures. You can only get her from Sorority Crisis or this event that we have over here in the next couple of days. Yes, Sorority Crisis. That's where you can get Keira. She is an epic commander, and I'm telling you the truth that it took me longer than any other legendary to max her out. So I do hope that she will be worth it. What I want to test her out with is not on the field battle, which obviously she has capabilities for field battle as well, but I want to test her out in Sunset Canyon. She is also a peacekeeping commander, so you can definitely use her for peacekeeping, since I was talking about peacekeeping commander. In terms of talents, she has a similar talent tree as the other peacekeeping commanders, with the full peacekeeping, almost full, and a part of skill to generate some rage, and mobility. This is all march speed, because if you use her, you might want to put her with archers. Same way I put Diao-chan and Ramses. So you have 5 epic peacekeeping commanders that you can use for killing barbarians. I believe that she might have a great utility in the Sunset Canyon with YSG. Probably a lot of people tested, but I want to test her myself. I still think that she has quite a nuking power over here. Obviously there is Mehmed, which I use right now with my YSG, a very high nuking march, but I feel that Keira and YSG might have a different high nuking power. Anyway, it's just a thing because of her force skill. She has a 10% chance to increase skill damage by 80%. So I'm really curious, because Sunset Canyon, it's all about RNG. I really want to test her in a particular spot, and I can show you how I use my YSG and Mehmed right now, and then it might just give you some ideas. You see the way it's placed YSG. Now, because it's placed like this, when I'm being attacked, if someone wants to hit me front sides with his 4 marches, it doesn't go 4-on-1, the usual strategy. That's why is Constantine and Joan there, if they go 4-on-1, so you can take a lot of punches. But anyway, this setup that I'm doing right now is just a test. YSG turns on the top side, meaning that it is outside of the murder ball, and it can also hit any march that is trying to hit my Constantine. So it's also going to AoE the marches that are hitting my other marches, and AoE the march that is hitting Constantine. So that's a little bit of a help. That's why I put Mehmed with YSG. And I want to see Keira with YSG, how they perform, because with the 80% skill damage increase, I think it might be some very good RNGs there. And like I said, Sunset Canyon is so much RNG based, it's unreal. Like, you can attack the same guy 10 times, you win 5 times, you lose 5 times. And you can win like with 5 marches 5 times, and then you can lose when he has 5 marches 5 times, and it doesn't make any sense because you didn't change your lineup. And that's why I just want to put as many commanders that are related with RNG. To use her on the battlefield, to tell you the truth, she doesn't have any defense, although she packs a punch for field battles. Same as Herman. The problem is they have no defense. That's why Artemisia and Ramses come in place, because they are very defensive commanders, and those are commanders that you really want to use with archers on the field. If you're a free-to-play low spender, I would try to avoid using epic commanders, archers especially, on the battlefield. And the reason you don't see Keira being massed is because she's not a priority to get her from the shop, from Sorority Crisis. There is speed ups, there is materials, and there's various other things that you can get from that shop which have higher value than a commander. That's why it took me so long to expertise her. Going further up on commanders that have various other utilities on the field battles. Up to KVK 1 and 2, I strongly recommend Pelagius. Either you want to do Pelagius with double C. Once you maxed out the primary skill of double C, which is this one over here, you can make the pair Pelagius first and double C as a second in command. You just need the primary skill of double C, and they make a great pair. I use them up till KVK 3, but now KVKs are so paced, and there's a lot of players migrating from older kingdoms to newer kingdoms, and I would say that Pelagius in KVK2 might not have so many utilities as before, and the KVK3 definitely not. Even in KVK2 you might see how many whales your opponents have before you decide if you want to take Pelagius out on the field. Baybars was also an exceptional commander that I was using for field battles, and again up to KVK3. Like I said, as things are progressing in Rise of Kingdoms and people are keep migrating, it kind of drops in utility. So I also recommend him in KVK1 or up to KVK1. But after that, you might want to choose some other commanders, or even if you don't have so many legendaries, just make sure that you bring out on the field the commanders that have the best equipment, or legendary commanders that have great skills. This is the talent tree that I use on Pelagius. There is various other talent trees that you can use for garrison, or if you're low tech, I would prefer to generate more rage if you're low tech, so you can pop more skills, but that's entirely up to you. Or you can check Discord for more talent trees. Going on Baybar's talent tree, this was the most used talent tree that I was using on Baybar's. I had various other talent tree which I showed them in some of my other videos. My recommendation would be to go with this talent tree. This one I found it to be the best, but again, you want to use Baybars up to KVK1. After that, you definitely want to look for replacement. If you're very skilled, you can use him in KVK2 as well, but be warned. Pairs that you can do with Baybars, with honestly any other Cav commanders that you want to pair him with, same is Pelagius. You want to do Baybars and Osman, you want to do Pelagius and Baybars, you want to do Baybars and Yao Chan. So many combinations that you can do with. Pelagius and Boudica, I don't really have to name them all because you can definitely choose your own. I was also using a lot Baybars with Sansu, Baybars with Ethelflaed, Baybars with Mehmed, just to try to get as much AoE value as possible from his fan shape area. Going further up, one of the most useless, I would say, commander or epic commander, maybe just Sunset Canyon utilities, because he's very tanky. A lot of people use him there and try to put him as a solo march because he brings 10% troops capacity and he can survive for longer because he has damage taken reduction by 25% for 5 seconds and increase the counter-attack damage. So he's very good for that solo march, but that's pretty much about it. Any other places you just want to reinforce. In the early games, yes, you can use Scipio. There is also a punching bag you can make with Scipio and Osman, so you can have a lot of troops capacity and damage together. But that might not be very useful once you go into KVK2 or probably not even in KVK1. So you might want to pay attention how good they will perform in KVK1, or probably not even go with them in KVK1. Kusunoki and Herman, the two Archer commanders, or the second and third Archer commander that we have from the epics. I really recommend Kusunoki and Herman to be used maybe up to KVK1 or maybe KVK1, but that's pretty much about it. They are pretty squishy archers in general on the field, unless you have a Ramses or an Artemisia later on into the game. If you really want to use your YSG, there's various other legendaries and pairs that you can do with the YSG. Or if you do want to go a Herman in YSG or a Kusunoki and YSG, or you just want to do Herman and Kusunoki, you need to play very careful with archers. People jump on them even with infantry, which might sound crazy, but they cannot fill your hospital, so people want to do kills. They're definitely gonna hit them. The talents that I have on Kusunoki are for garrison because I don't really use him for anything else. If you want to use him for the field, I would recommend one of these talent trees. You can also check Discord for more talent trees. For Herman, it looks like I have the same talent tree, or no, I didn't went with the latent power. Kusunoki has a lot of additional damage, that's why he has latent power. I put Whistling Arrow. It's not a bad choice. And I think on Herman I might have some better. No, this one is Garrison. And yes, this is a version with the full Flower Nature. I really like this talent tree on archers. This is what I use on my YSG as well. But Herman already has a good rage engine, so I believe that's why I went with this one. Try to empower the damage a little bit. I hope it helps. Going on to some of the most used epic commanders. And we have Joan of Arc. We have Sansu. And it might sound crazy when I say this, but Matilda of Flanders. I even done videos where I tested these commanders on the field and I didn't find them to be very useful, because if you look at Matilda, it kind of boosts siege a little bit, right? It gives you a lot of benefits to siege, so there might be some utilities over there. On the field, not, but in Sunset Canyon, yes. So what I have seen a lot of free-to-play players do, because they don't have the legendaries like I do or many of other players do, they put Joan of Arc as a first and they put Matilda as a second in command, and they do full siege of tier 3 in Sunset Canyon, and they use it as a tanking march, not as a solo march, but as a tanking march. On the second row, and to show you what I mean by the second row, I'm just going to show real quick in my Sunset Canyon on my defense where I keep my Ethelflaed. That's the second row. That's what I like to call the second row, because this march can only be hit by 2 other marchers. So they put Joan of Arc with Matilda of Flanders because, again, they lack commanders. So that is a good way how you can have another tanking march while also bringing Joan of Arc to buff in your Sunset Canyon. That's why I included her as one of the most used. Once you get more legendary commanders, then you probably want to replace her. But what I can say from what I've seen so far, with my alt account, I lost attacking a player who had Matilda and Joan of Arc, but Joan of Arc leading in Sunset Canyon with full siege. And I have so many legendaries and even max legendaries on my alt account. I don't even use any epics except Joan of Arc, and I still lost. A talent tree that you might want to build on Joan of Arc is definitely with the expert design to increase the attack, defense and health of your siege, and then trying to go and get as many bonuses as possible that you can from the integration. Now, I'm not sure what siege bonuses you can get from here. It's probably defensive formation, increase the defense of siege units, fresh recruits to increase the troops capacity, and you got armored to the teeth. It's gonna be up to you if you want to do a mix of troops with Joan of Arc and Matilda. I believe you can, but what I've seen players using is just a full siege march. You just need to make sure that you get expert design. Also, Joan of Arc is very useful for field battle because she's one of the best buffing commanders in Rise of Kingdoms. Maybe Mulan might be the best, but who knows, it needs a lot of testing. I'll be more inclined and more in favor to get Rage over than getting some stats and march speed, but that's entirely up to you. And in Sunset Canyon, there is really few marches or few setups in Sunset Canyon that don't use Joan of Arc. Constantine and Joan of Arc, they're kind of the kings of Sunset Canyon. That's really crazy how powerful this march is. Either you want to use it on the field to buff your other marchers, or in Sunset Canyon, really useful. Going on to Sun Tzu. As crazy as it sounds, Sun Tzu still has a lot of utilities even on field battles. You just have to put him with the right marchers. And in Sunset Canyon, for a very long time, I still used him, and every now and then I still try him. How do I use Sun Tzu in the Sunset Canyon? You're noticing that I have this march with Ethelflaed and Julius Caesar. I usually do Ethelflaed and Sun Tzu, and I do a similar setup. As you're noticing, that is majority of infantry. I just go Ethelflaed, I put Sun Tzu over here, and I get a lot of AoE value. For me, and for a very long time, this was a very nice and beautiful march for me. But if you do this and you put it in the front line, because this setup I still use it on my alt account, you want to make sure that on the back you have someone like Guan Yu and Alex. And you're probably saying, well, why Guan Yu and Alex? And an expert is Guan Yu, to specify that. Because Ethelflaed has hasty departure, which gives 60% march speed for 10 seconds. She's gonna start hitting whatever march is gonna hit her first, or whatever march is gonna be closer, which means that she's gonna engage in battle, and the second march from your opponent that is coming in is also gonna hit her pretty fast. Now, if you have a slow march, like for example, if you wanna put YSG, by the time YSG gets there and you start engaging onto the fight, either your opponents or marches or your march, they start popping skills. So YSG is not charged, and because it's not charged, it's going to start taking damage from the other marches, and it's going to lose troops capacity. And if they have a Guan Yu, they will start silencing a YSG, and you're probably going to lose half the march before you even do a skill. So that's why you want to put something fast, because Guan Yu with expertise gains 100% march speed for 3 seconds, and it keeps up with Ethelflaed, so they kind of hit in the same time. There's a lot of tricks regarding the Sunset Canyon, to tell you the truth, and a lot of things that you can do in Sunset Canyon, but to be honest, to put them all in a video, I probably can talk for hours. This is how passionate I was one time about Sunset Canyon, or in general when I have time and I spend in Sunset Canyon. On the field battle where you can use Sun Tzu, in the early stages or the beginning of the kingdom or the game, you can definitely use him as a first, but later on into the game, you want to put Sun Tzu as a second in command. For example, you want to put him second to a charged martel, even a 5-5, 1-1 charged martel. You want to do Alex and Sun Tzu, or any other combination that you're thinking about to do with Sun Tzu and other infantry commanders is definitely going to do great. In the early stages, like I was mentioning, you can put Sun Tzu first, and as the second in command, you can put whoever you like. Even Eulji, Sun Tzu and Eulji is one pair that I usually recommend in the early stages. Later on, maybe up to KVK1, Eulji is useful, but after that, I don't recommend it. Honestly, I'm not sure why, but he's kind of so bad. Even though his skills look great, so on the paper, he should really pack a punch. He just doesn't for some reason. But at the beginning of the kingdom, he's useful. Later on, not so much. What a lot of people do because they lack legendaries, they do Eulji and Scipio Africanus because they both have something similar to 100% damage increase like Scipio has on his second skill. Well, Scipio has 100% attack. Yes, 100% attack, and Eulji has 100% damage. So when they get swarmed as a solo march, if you're lucky enough, they can really do some serious damage to the people that are swarming, just because they can increase their attack and damage so much. Sun Tzu is also very exceptional for Garrison. I used him in KVK 1 and 2, even in Flag Garrison. It might surprise you how good Sun Tzu can do. And for more talents, you can check the Discord. This is the field battle talent tree that you can use on Sun Tzu. I highly recommend it. You can check Discord for more talent trees, and this is for Flag. 100% recommend this one for Flag. A lot of damage. Sun Tzu YSG doing amazing in Flag with this talent tree. So the truth, there's a lot of utilities for the epic commanders if you really look into it, or you know where exactly to use them or place them. And I showed you about Sunset Canyon regarding Sun Tzu, but there's plenty of other ways how you can use him, not just with Athelflaed. Charles Martel and Sun Tzu can also work, and various other pairs. This is just a fast as possible review regarding all the epics where you can still use them, some pairings and talents in the same video. Just maybe give you some insight. You might want to try something new either in your Sunset Canyon lineup, or you might just want to try something new on the field battles. Until next time, this is your boy Ronnie signing off. Peace out, yo, and take care. See you on the next one, and stay safe out there, my friends.